Hello, good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us. I'd like to welcome you to Delgado's Workforce IT Tech Talk Thursday. My name is Erin Thomas, and I am the Student Success Specialist for Workforce IT. Also joining us is Kelvin Gibson. He also works in the Workforce IT area as the IT Program Director. Today, we have a special presentation for everyone titled Army IT Careers, and you will hear from three presenters, Staff Sergeant Donavin Carey, Staff Sergeant Matthew Green, and Sergeant Peter Demasi. So I will read a brief bio on Sergeant Demasi, and then I will turn it over to him. So of Sergeant Peter Demasi, HVAC 608, Type 1, 2, and 3, and 609 certified, serving since 2010 as a mechanical maintenance technician for heaters, water, fuel pumps, HVAC systems, and other ground support systems. Before arriving in New Orleans for recruiting duty in 2018, Sergeant Demasi led a maintenance team from 2014 to 2016, and then transitioned to a human resource role managing a 5-soldier team to support an Army support company of 120 soldiers. Sergeant Demasi is married with 3 children. He is the events and partnership coordinator for the New Orleans Army recruiting station at City Park. And I will now turn it over to Sergeant Demasi. The floor is yours.
Well, good afternoon. Thanks for hosting us. I look forward to getting to know you guys a little bit better and sharing our Army story and our IT careers. I've prepared a little presentation. I'm going to try to share my screen real quick, and bear with me. I haven't done this on Zoom in a little while, so I'm a little rusty. So if you let me know if that's coming through good. Where's my authorization? There we go.
Yeah.
Are you guys able to see? Awesome. All right. So obviously today's discussion, we wanted to show how, partnering with the Army will gain employability skills through military service. The Army has 20 plus signal intelligence jobs that we support worldwide operations with hands-on training, career planning, and certification opportunities. So a lot of folks don't know how the military works, and a recruiter like myself is there to answer those questions and educate the community. So Erin, we appreciate Delgado letting us share today. So I'm going to start with the highest level. The United States Army is broken into 3 big chunks. The active duty Army, which is where full-time soldiers operate. They leave their hometowns to support Army operations, in 100 plus bases around the globe. Then we have the Army Reserve, which is a part-time option. So after a person completes their training and becomes a certified soldier, they return to a local reserve center, right? So we've got 2 reserve centers here in the New Orleans area, one at the lakefront, and then one down in Belle Chase. And then, of course, they're located all over the country. So those soldiers only serve part-time. They work 1 week in a month, 2 weeks every year, so a total of 38 days, and gain a lot of benefits. Then the third option is the Army National Guard, which is run by the state. So here in Louisiana, they go by Go Guard, kind of embracing that local culture. And they offer a lot of the same jobs that the active duty Army and the Army Reserve offer, but they support local operations at the state level. So you've seen them out every time there's a hurricane, a flood, or any kind of event. The Guard is the Army soldiers that respond to support that community event. And then, of course, they support those worldwide operations as well. Then the quiet part of that for college students is Army ROTC, which gets you connected to become an Army officer, and all 3 branches support those. So my teammate, Sergeant Carey, is my IT guy, and I'm sorry that he's not here to present with you. He had a little family emergency that's put him behind schedule. So I do want to talk about him, even though he's not here. Sergeant Carey is CompTIA network certified, fiber optic certified, serving since 2010. He provides more of the help desk and desktop support side of the Army. So he's the guy that I go to make sure my laptop is working, my cell phone is working. If my network port's not doing what it's doing, he's got the access and skills to take care of those things for us. So before coming to our recruiting team in 2021, Sergeant Carey was a battalion section chief. which is basically a site manager. So he had an 8-man team that took care of 800 individual soldiers and 1,200 pieces of equipment out there at Fort Hood in Texas. He's married with 4 children and definitely would share some, life stories for you. Then of course myself, Aaron, you did that introduction and you talk about HVAC 608. So it's really not an IT thing, but I'll tell you a little bit more about that, right? So type 1, 2, and 3 are certifications, very technical, but basically I can do residential, commercial, or industrial level refrigeration work. So a lot of the HVAC folks might know what that is. But basically I can fix that home air conditioner. I can fix commercial air conditioners in big buildings like on the Delgado campus, or I can go into a grocery store and fix the coolers and freezer systems that those guys use. So comes in pretty handy. Mostly I like to do the small work, residential is a lot of fun, where I spent most of my time in the Army. So since I've been here in New Orleans since 2018, you guys are my second home. I was privileged enough to honeymoon here. So my wife and I were super excited to come to town. Over the years, with Delgado on a bunch of different events. We've talked a little Army stuff. So that's a little bit about me and what I do. So I'm going to talk some Army stuff. We've got 150 different career fields, and a handful of those are IT. I'm going to focus on those. But as you can see, we've got medical and emergency, computer and tech, construction and engineering. So if you want a career, we've got it. And then there's a tons of ways the Army's helped you get to that point, because we provide hands-on job training. So the first bit of everyone's training is 10 weeks of learning how to soldier, wearing uniforms, marching, communicating in an Army team. And then you move on to that specialized job school. So it's a little bit different than taking courses at Delgado, because it's a condensed learning environment, 6 days a week, and you're fully immersed hands-on. So we try to drive people to be entry-level proficient in that job in 12 to 24 weeks in most cases. Some of those medical or science jobs take a little bit longer. And even some of our ITs that stack the certifications take up to a year. And those are open to both those 3 different versions of the Army I talked about: the active duty, the reserve, or the guard. All right, so the biggest thing that most people struggle with is being able to pay for that job training. So I know Delgado's got great programs and resources to help people connect with, grants and loans. The Army comes in a different fashion. So the way we help pay for college and certifications is twofold. We have a tuition assistance and credentialing assistance program, which every soldier is entitled to up to $4,000 per year that they serve. So for me, pretty easy. This year, I spent about $2,500 of college tuition. And then here, when the business year changes for the Army, which is October 1st, they're going to roll that $2,500 deduction back in. I'll be back at $4,000. So anybody that serves, you spend that money how you want. And I used mine for tuition, but I can also pay for professional certifications. And sometimes that's scary because, you don't know where to go and how to do it. The Army uses a tool that makes it really easy. It's a website, you register, and I go in, I only see people that the Army is approved to pay. So for me as an HVAC guy, I'm looking at ASE certifications, which is, the same thing that your mechanic that works at Ford or Cadillac goes after. But on the information technology side, those CompTIA network certifications and hundreds of others are available with approved vendors that the Army will pay on your behalf. So you use the tool, register to take the certification test, you get in there, you knock it out, and the Army pays for it. So it's pretty easy. And we line that up with our career mapping. So every soldier, based on their career field, has a map that they follow that tells them, year 1 to 4, this is the certifications you should be pursuing and the kinds of activity for that level for your role. And then as you move in years 5 through 8 or 8 through 10, they add more advanced certifications and lead you down a successful path to build out your whole career. Because the last thing you want to do is just jump in head first, go get one certification and find out you can only do one type of job when you might need a few others. So pretty simple stuff there. One of the other ways we pay for college is through the Minuteman Scholarship, which is geared for four-year universities through the college ROTC program. So that's where, somebody that might be attending at that next level, LSU's, UNO, SUNO, Tulane, Xavier, they'll qualify for a scholarship program through Army ROTC, which is additional classes you take for military training alongside whatever career path you're following. So if you're going to college to become, IT network manager, great. We love that. Go for it. If you're going for biology to become some kind of nurse or doctor or other medical field, we do that as well. So lots of stuff. So let's get to tech, right? The Army has a ton of different jobs open. So I've got a detailed list here of all of the tech and intel jobs. So we label our jobs by series. So you'll see number codes after each career. So if you were interested in what does that really mean? You can Google it. You can watch the YouTube videos. Straight out 25 Bravo IT specialist. I don't know what that does. So I'd Google it and get that detail for you, right? I see my partner, Sergeant Carey, looks like he's joined and waiting in the background. So maybe we can get him to talk a little bit about what he does. He's actually, like I said, the 25 uniform signal support specialist, kind of that desktop support. So that might be a good point. Aaron, can you bring him in for me?
Yeah, he can unmute himself and he can speak.
All right. Sergeant Carey, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I got you.
Awesome.
So go ahead. What you were saying?
So if you would, I kind of briefed over your bio a little bit because you weren't here. I told everybody
Okay.
that, my go-to guy for desktop help desk type support, but I didn't really elaborate. So if you could share a little bit of how that works, in the Army,
okay,
we'd appreciate that.
Yep. So I'm 12 years in. Yesterday made officially 12 years for me as a 25 uniform, a signal support specialist. Like Sergeant Demasi was saying, the only difference is between the 25U and the 25 Bravo. I'm more lower TI. So I'm more like radios, cables, antennas, frequencies, stuff like that. So I don't really deal too much with the IP networking and things like that. That's more the 25 Bravos, but we do help them out. So I like to think of the 25 uniform like a universal remote because we have to adapt to all the IT fields with all the 25 series that you see. For our AIT training, it does require 16 weeks of training. In order to qualify for that job, you do have to meet a certain score whenever you do take the military entrance exam. You do have a lot of opportunities in the 25 series, especially 25 Bravos when they go to AIT because they get those CompTIA certifications available to them. So they don't even come out of pocket. They don't even have to use their tuition assistance or anything like that. By them being in school in AIT as a 25 Bravo, they get the opportunity to take the Security Plus through CompTIA. And they won't have to pay that back if they don't pass that course. What they're trying to do is incorporate that CompTIA Cert Security Plus into that job to where it's going to be a qualification in order for you to maintain the 25 Bravo slot. But if you're not a 25 Bravo and you don't get the opportunity in AIT, you do have that opportunity throughout your career as a 25 series. And even if you're not a 25 series, like Sergeant Demasi was saying earlier, you do have the opportunity to pay for that using that tuition assistance. So you do have a perk being a 25 series without going to that tuition assistance option by just being in that 25 series family. After AIT, as far as the job training for the 25 uniform, like I said, we focus more on radios, frequencies. We deal with a lot of Harris radios. We deal with HF, so like long range. If we're in the field, that's what we tend to do most of the time. If we're working in the office, like I said, we're more like help desk. So we deal with a lot of trouble tickets. We deal with a lot of computer accounts, cell phones, mainly Apple products. We deal with helping out on email accounts. So anything IT related, that's pretty much the realm of the 25 series whenever we're not in the field. The skills you learn being in that 25 series family, you deal with electronic troubleshooting, you deal with cable wiring, radio and network support. So like I said, I know it's kind of sounding redundant, but that's pretty much everything wrapped in one, especially as a 25 uniform. Just to go over a little certifications that I have currently, I do have my fiber optics installers certification, and I also have Network Plus. So if I do decide to get out of the military, I can use those certifications outside the military onto the civilian side. And the good thing about transitioning over from the military into the civilian side, we do this thing called Soldier for Life, to where they prepare you to, get ready for that civilian lifestyle. So they set you up with interviews, and they pretty much help you build your resume. So everything that you gained in the military, they're going to make sure they set you up for success. That way, you can easily transition over to that civilian side. So I can definitely use all my certifications that I received in the military. And once I do decide to retire, they'll help me build that resume. That way, they'll let me know what's available to me. Let's see.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all that.
No problem.
A lot of Army lingo on you guys there. So when he says 25 series, the Army categorizes different job functions by the higher level functions. So all of our IT support and communications network is under the 25 is the starting number. And then each job gets a different letter code going after. So then we get into intelligence, which is 35 series. For those of you that aren't too familiar with the way we talk about things, I think that's important. And sorry, Carey, you said that you got those certifications and the Army paid for all those, right?
Yes. And that was without even using my tuition assistance. We usually just enroll into the course because we call it like a signal school, and we bring civilians over to teach us these, those CompTIA network certifications. And, that's without using that tuition assistance. That's just being a part of the Signal family, to where you can just enroll into a course.
Excellent. Thank you so much. All right. So I was sharing the tech and intel jobs list here for you. So we kind of talked about a couple of those. Obviously, the Army goes worldwide, and that's why you see some satellite communication system stuff on there. And then we get into the intelligence side of the military, where we're collecting intelligence on what's going on in the world. And we do that in a ton of different ways, whether it's people on the ground observing it, using satellite imaging, intercepting radio frequencies, internet traffic. And so those are very specialized items that we cover all those different elements. And then we get the guys that fix that equipment. So when I move into the next slide, if it'll cooperate. Am I stuck? There we go. We get into the technical repair side of things. So, a lot of times people talk about IT and they just think about maybe the software and, cloud-based things. But if we don't have a network to run all that on, it's not going to do anything for us. So we've got a wide variety of technical repair jobs that get into the more electronic repair, right? So we've got guys that are fixing computers, satellite systems. You'll see some of my listing here show, radar, air defense, and then, missile launching systems. It's all very technical electronic things. I looked at one of those manuals and it looked like an old school phone book from, 20 years ago. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of information. But we need folks that can handle that. And a lot of those transition well, to working in the civilian world. All those network and satellite systems are there. We've got folks that feed into working in, defense contracting, like Lockheed Martin's, going over maybe working at NASA. that kind of stuff. So a wide variety of things for you. Then we of course got a ton of medical jobs. I've got a ton of aviation jobs, which is currently where the Army's really focusing a lot of its energy. And we roll only helicopters in the Army. So you've got, transportation helicopters, you've got logistics that are moving, large capacities of supplies to and from. And then of course they have got some combat focused helicopters. So we've got guys that train to repair those specific systems, both, engines, electronics, communications equipment, all kind of feed into making our system work well. So that ends my little presentation side from PowerPoint, but folks, I'd really love to share with you that career map that I was talking about. So I'm gonna see if I can get that to share and show you how that works. So give me 1 second to move over to that item. Come on now. Man, I'm just stumbling all over here. Let's see. There we go. All right. So I was speaking about, that 0 to 4, 4 to 8 year window in your career. So as a soldier, we live by our rank, right? So here at the top, you'll see a couple different symbols that say, private E1 through specialist E4. So for the Army, we promote automatically for E1 through E4 based on time in service and just, doing your job the way you're supposed to and not getting in any kind of trouble, right? So 6 months, 12 months, 24 months are automatic promotions. And then you're really developing before you move into that middle management or early team leader role in those 4 to 8 year marks. So I pulled up Sergeant Carey's specific job here, 25 uniform, and it kind of talks about, what they're doing as a signal information service specialist, different groups. And then when I slide down here, it's going to show you the recommended certification path. Try not to mumble to you guys. I'm sorry. I'm a pretty relaxed kind of guy. So you'll see when I get to the bottom, it's got the starred credentials. So it's saying CompTIA, IT fundamentals, or Network Plus are the desired, get these now certifications in 0 to 4 years. When we move over to 4 to 8 years for that sergeant, they're saying that Security Plus, as you move forward, then they're looking at, Cisco Certified Network Associate. So we're helping you craft your whole career trajectory if you stay serving in the military. And this is applicable for the active duty or the reserve that we talked about earlier. And then a little further down the page, it's got some other certifications it's recommending for you to pursue. The great part is all those certifications, just build your resume and make you more employable. So I know I've attended a few of Delgado's events and they talk Scrum Master a lot. Seems to be the one I hear the most excitement about that's really employable locally. So we would definitely want to, see somebody get those certifications, join our team, or, get well employed in the community, feeding on. So Sergeant Carey, did you use this map to help plan your movement through your career, or did it happen, organically for you?
A little bit of both. I didn't actually start getting on this map until probably around 2015, 2016, but I definitely have this posted once I was in my last unit or 2 units ago for the soldiers. That way they know exactly where they need to be. Just pretty much like where it shows where, how you start off as a private, where you should be at between those 4 years. That way they'll know, and what I know, if I'm on that right career path to make it to that next rank. So yeah, I definitely use this as a reference to make sure I'm on path of, staying the course of making it to the next, the next rank.
Excellent. So my career map looks very different being a ground support mechanic, but it's laid out the same format. So what's one of my favorite things about the way the Army operates is there's no surprises, no guesses, much like when you step into Delgado and you sign up to take a specific associate's degree path or certification path. You know what you're getting into, you know what the requirements are to help you be successful. So our motive of operation is to be looking to move up to the next level, right? We all want to improve. We all want to get take that next step in our career. So knowing where to go and what the expectation is. So, the Army's my employer and they're telling me this is what they want to see me do, makes it really easy. So, and great part is then they start paying for those certifications for us. So I've taken advantage of the tuition assistance side, like I explained earlier. I'm actually getting ready to pivot and take on a new career role. Now that I'm in recruiting, I'm primed for, the human resources side of certification. So I'm looking at the SHRM certification, which is, certified human resource professional, and the Army will pay for that testing for me to get certified and maintain those credentials. So both Sergeant Carey and I are a little more committed to staying in the Army long term. Not everybody does that. Some people come in and just do that 1 3-year contract. All these benefits are there for them as well. So pretty straightforward. You complete training, you show up at your first unit of assignment, and you can start using all of your benefits and taking advantage of following a career map. And what's really awesome is, I love the IT networking stuff. I can go take that certification and pay for those classes using my tuition assistance or credentialing assistance funding. It doesn't have to be tied to my Army career. So that's been a pretty exciting thing to see guys that are, starting out as mechanics because they were kind of interested, found out, hey, I really like this other avenue, and they can go down that path without being hampered, because their self-improvement's the key, right? The better you can make yourself, the happier the Army is with you because you're improving your life. So pretty good stuff there. So let's see, I think I shared all of my documents. So I went through that a little bit faster than I had expected to. So I guess what I'd like to talk about is, somebody that's thinking about how do I get into the career that I want to see for myself. So I want to talk about how the Army can help you do that. So I'm going to turn off this screen sharing real quick, bring my big old head back up for you. Okay, so we're good, done. So if someone's interested in participating in what the Army does, right? It's not as simple as just dropping your resume off and hoping somebody calls you. Pretty detailed. So to join the military, you've got to be a citizen of the United States or a legal resident. You have to be in generally good health, right? And then you have to meet basic education requirements, having a high school diploma or a GED. We also have some career fields that require you to have a bachelor's degree. And then the next piece is good moral character, right? So we do look at, criminal backgrounds, your credit background, and that can dictate some of the jobs you could be disqualified for. So it's a little bit different. But generally, you would meet with a recruiter like myself or Sergeant Carey, talk about your personal goals and what you're trying to accomplish in life. And then we would share how the Army can help you do that and which path we would recommend. So a lot of folks think that we get paid by the head, which is not true. So when I'm meeting a young man or woman and, they're wanting to join the Army, my job is to take care of them because I need to do what's best for that person as an individual while they're making that decision to join the Army. So the great thing about living in this fully connected world today, I don't have to worry about misspeaking or being shady. It's nice. I can be as honest as I want to be because they can just walk out of the room and, hit the hey Siri, hey Google, and get the answers and the facts. So it makes my job really easy when I talk about the different programs that we offer and how it works. So similar to starting a program at Delgado, you're going to take a placement test. We call it the ASVAB, which is the Armed Forces test that tells you what jobs the military can offer you. The ASVAB is for all branches of the military, and each branch uses the testing results to line up an individual with different career fields. So someone can come in and take the test and do, really well and see 150 of the Army jobs, and they might just do okay, and they might only see 50 different jobs that they qualify for. And the reason we do that testing is we need people when they join to be successful. We don't want to overwhelm them if they're not ready for that type of learning environment that career field requires. So, myself as a mechanic, I went through 12 weeks of training, and it was a lot of electronics and tracing wires on schematics, and learning about different tools. Sergeant Carey's experience in IT is going to be, greatly different. But if I didn't test well, where the system can understand, can I do that job? I would struggle through that, and then I would not be an effective employee. So we have the benefit to know that, baseline folks are going to come in and be very successful in any career that they choose once they take that qualification test. After the qualification test, we then would go through their military physical, which is like a sports physical that you might have done in high school if you played any kind of high school sports or college sports. We're looking for, folks that have conditions that performing military service could hurt, right? We don't have the ability to worry about taking required medications. If somebody's got asthma, expecting them to be able to run 2 miles and carry 100 pounds of gear, it might not work for them. And we could endanger that person's life or just hurt them. So they would probably be excluded from service. I personally have a child that has scoliosis that wasn't able to join because the military service is known to exasperate those conditions. So some people get kind of upset that not everybody can serve, but at the end of the day, the government and the people of the United States dictate that their Army's got to be able to perform the required functions. So if somebody would be injured, it wouldn't be a good day. So we do exclude those folks. But once they get clear of that on the medical side, they get their thumbs up, then they go talk contracts. The cool part, many of us have gone into a job interview and we know what we're getting into a little bit. The Army puts everything in black and white, so there's no confusion, there's no misleading. You pick your job with your recruiter. So when you sign your contract, you know exactly when you're leaving for training, how long you're going to be gone, where you're going, what unit you're going to be assigned to, if you're coming back to the reserves or the guard. So it gives a lot of comfort, much like if you applied with a local employer, you want to know exactly what you get into. So pretty good system there. So that kind of talks about joining. So I like to tell a little bit of my personal story. Since we got a few minutes, I joined the Army late in life at 33. I didn't finish a college degree or get certifications, at that point in time. I was working in call center operations, managing a big budget for a national telecom company, but they were downsizing in my area because of the recession that we were in, that 2008, 2009 timeframe. So when I got laid off, I couldn't really replace my income because everybody was looking for people with that degree or with a certification. So when I joined the Army, I set my mind to fixing that. So I've got some certifications now that will support me having a career outside the military. I'm still pursuing my degree. I've got about 14 credits, I believe, left to finish my bachelor's. And I went the business administration route, just kind of generic, because, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. And I'm, 46 years old with a family. So some of you folks are kind of young, don't know yet. Get a degree or get a certification so you can get a good job and take care of your life is my advice. So, sorry, Carey, I don't know if you would take a moment to share a little bit about your story before we open up for any questions.
Sure. So, like I said, I joined in 2010. Yesterday makes 12 years. I did it for stability. I didn't know what type of job I was getting myself into. I just told the recruiter, I don't want nothing combat related. So he gave me a pamphlet. He was like, hey, everything with an asterisk is combat jobs. Everything else is like your support jobs. So initially I was going to be a generator operator. So I think that's similar to what Sergeant Demasi is doing. I think he's like an AC mechanic, but I was going to be a generator operator. And once they found out like my likes and dislikes, when they found out I like to deal with like gaming and, you know, dealing with being on computers and stuff like that, they seen the 25 uniform option, looked at the video, and I decided to go with that option instead because I felt like I was more relatable to that job versus messing with generators. I had no experience. The job doesn't require any experience because you get all that experience in AIT for job training. So I didn't know exactly what type of job I would be doing until I got to my first unit. So even when I was in AIT, even though I was passing the classes to become the 25 uniform, I still didn't know exactly what was going to be asked of me once I got to that first unit. Because everywhere you go, they require you to do something a little different because every unit is not the same. So, you know, each journey of each location I've been to in the Army, I've always learned something different, and we always upgrading. We always learning new things, and there's always updates and stuff like that. So with me being a recruit, I know I'm gonna be removed from that, especially 3 years out of being on the IT side. So I'm gonna have a lot of catching up to do. But I know once I get back, it'll be something that I'll be gaining more experience from when I first started. I am gonna make this a life thing, a 20-year thing. Once I do get out, I'm gonna try to continue to make this, I'm gonna continue to use my certs to stay on the IT side. And if it doesn't work out, then I pretty much try to build something else. So I do agree with what Sergeant Demasi saying. You don't have to necessarily pretty much use a degree that's not similar to what you're doing in the military. You can always go after something that's not related to your job. That way you always have like a safety net just in case that doesn't work out. So I'm not necessarily doing that right now. The degree I'm going after is pretty much general studies for the advancement of me going to the next rank. But I do plan on doing something that's on the business side because I do have goals to where I want to open up my own business instead of doing the IT thing full time. So, but yeah, that's pretty much my story. And I do have kids, wife, kids, everything, the whole nine. My wife, she did 4 years before she decided to get out. We met at school, so she was on the IT side as well, decided to do the 4 and get out, and she wants to be a nurse. So she's currently in nursing school using that GI Bill that the Army's giving her. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. So the GI Bill is one of the biggest ways the military pays for our college education. So on the active duty side, the GI Bill entitles you to a 4-year degree, and it provides a tuition and fee bucket of money, and it provides a housing bucket of money. So, you know, a young student here in New Orleans could join the Army, do their 3 to 4 years of active duty, and find out they're really passionate about a particular career field, but they need to go to school in California. And we know cost of living is pretty high there. So they can do that with their GI Bill, or they can, you know, come home to New Orleans or go to the backwood country of Georgia, and that housing bucket goes up and down and the tuition gets paid for. So pretty exciting tool. I'm glad that your wife has taken advantage of it, Sergeant Carey. Being an old guy at 46, I actually passed that GI benefit down to one of my children, who's currently attending college down in Florida. And, you know, the bills are paid. I think we spent $23 for books for this first semester because, you know, she wanted them now and didn't want to wait for the process for them to get paid for. So great benefit. Active duty, they're entitled to a larger chunk of money because they make a bigger commitment to the Army. On the reserve and guard side, slightly different buckets of money because they are doing that part-time. So not totally something we'd get into the weeds on today, guys, because we could talk for 3 hours about that. But I'd love to open it up if there's anybody that's got some questions. Aaron, if you want us to clarify something, please let us know.
No, I think we can go ahead And open the floor for questions.
I have a question.
Oh, wait, Michelle.
So with, for instance, Delgado has a number of certifications that you can pay for in Scrum and cybersecurity and network security. If a person comes into the military already having these certifications, what type of benefit would that be to them in regards to job placement in IT?
Great question, Michelle. Thank you. So if they already have those certifications, many of our IT jobs, they would be exempt from the required training that the Army provides. So if they, are going the cybersecurity side and they've already got their CompTIA plus Network Plus kind of certs, if that's what the job required, they wouldn't have to go through, 8, 12, 24 weeks of training. And they could also come in at a more advanced rank. So, typically high school student, gets their diploma or GED, no other training, they start at the very bottom of the ladder. But if you have some, college credits or certifications under your belt, you can move up that ladder in advance of the normal time requirement. So, and then of course, if they've got experience behind that certification, it's even better.
Excellent. I have one more comment. I just wanted to thank you both. This has been great because I'm a 19-year military wife, and my husband works in IT as well, communications officer, just retired 2 years ago at the age of 47. After doing 30 years in the military, he retired as a lieutenant colonel. And he's still getting certifications now, but the long-term planning of the military, the career guidance is so essential to long-term success. I always say I rarely meet someone who's been in the military who isn't successful now in some form or fashion because of the training that you get. However, I do know a lot of parents are concerned about their kids going into the military because of the fear of going into combat. And so you mentioned before, I don't know if it was you or Carey mentioned the fact that, I think it was you, Sergeant Carey, who said, hey, I didn't want to go into combat. And I mentioned that to them and they, and they say, hey, pick these jobs. Can you talk a little bit more about the challenge that you have to recruit when parents are concerned about kids going into combat, and then also your experiences with being able to navigate your career so that you may not have to go into combat if that's something that has to happen because we're in a state of war or something like that. Can you talk a little bit about that, either one of you?
Oh, that is one of the number one questions we do get. So everybody that puts on a uniform, regardless of military branch, has the potential to see what a civilian would call combat. So what I like to tell everybody is, if you play Call of Duty on a video game or you watch those war movies, it is not like that. The military trains you for a specific job function. So we have combat soldiers where their job is to go find the bad guys and do some damage, putting it as nicely as possible. But the Army pays me to be a ground support mechanic, right? Taking care of air conditioners and heaters and pumps. So that's what they want me to do. If I have to go fight, something didn't go good with the plan, we do train for those contingencies, the what ifs. But I've done 11 months in what is considered a combat zone in Afghanistan 2 different times. And both times I did my job day in and day out. Never had to shoot anybody. Nobody shot at me and I didn't get blown up. So I call it a good time. Everybody's experience does vary just a little bit because, it is a little more dangerous. But in the past 20 years, we've had, more deaths here at home from common things like car accidents than we did have actual combat deaths. So it's not, World War II or Vietnam era where people are dying left and right. We invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in training in soldiers, and the number one goal is to keep everybody alive and bring them home to their families. So like I said, I'm the old guy of the group. My oldest son also chose to serve. So he's 23 years old now, graduated 2018. In his time in the Army, he actually has not deployed. So he's been stateside the whole time. He's following the path to become a high school drama teacher. So he knows what his income potential looks like. So he's using the military to pay for his education. He's almost to the bachelor's degree. He's probably going to beat dad, which is embarrassing, but I'm excited for him. So we kind of talk about our personal stories. Sorry, Carey alluded to not wanting to do a combat job. So I'm going to turn it over to him and let you talk about what his experience has been.
Yeah, so throughout my career, I've been attached to combat units, but like Sergeant Demasi said, I was never asked to do any of the things that that combat unit was assigned to do. So for what you see on TV, you know, that's not everybody's job. I noticed a question that I think Mr. Vegas Carey said, what are the current signing bonuses for IT related job? So to answer that real quick, that's so bonuses is assigned to every job. So it's not really IT related. So there could be a bonus assigned to an IT job, but it's not really specifically for that job itself. It's whatever the case may be as far as like quick ship. That's what we're doing right now. So we're offering $35,000 to anybody that's willing to leave for basic training within 30 days. So that's just to answer Mr. Curry's question he got on that chat. But my experience in the military throughout my 12 years, I've always been doing my job. I never was told to do anything else but my job. And, you know, like Sergeant Demasi said, if you're asked to do something other than that, then something did go wrong. And, you know, I've been in Afghanistan once. I did 9 months and I just did my job. My job was really, really easy and laid back for me to be the IT rep for a company. So for you to be an IT rep for the company, you're by yourself as far as other people working your job. So I was the only person in my field. So they didn't want me in bad situations because I was the only person for that company. So they made sure that I was doing only what was asked of me. So that's pretty much been my experience throughout my whole career.
Thank you. Great answers.
Michelle, I'd like to take the moment to expand on what you're asking about is that currently we're not really at war with anyone. We do have, you know, worldwide operations that the military as a whole supports, right? So if you turn on the news today, you'll hear about soldiers and military folks in Poland supporting stuff that's going on over there between Ukraine and Russia. It's not our fight today. You know, when the president says we're going to do something different, the military will pivot. And, you know, we got lots of smart people making really great plans. So when, you know, stuff happens, they build contingencies on contingencies. So just like in the civilian sector, you know, when you work in an IT role, right, you're worrying about keeping the system running today and how am I going to add another 50 employees next month? And somebody's planning that. So hopefully, you know, we pray for a world at peace where everybody just lives their life. But we're here to answer that call if necessary. Sorry, I get a little emotional thinking about those things, but at the end of the day, we all want to come home and, you know, rest assured that that's the number one goal is, right? Everybody put their pillow down at night and feel good. So when someone trusts their children to join our Army family, it's serious business. And that's what we want.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the years I've spent working or watching my husband and supporting him in his career, I can tell you that is exactly what everybody wants is to come home and be safe. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for those comments. Aaron, you want to wrap it up?
Sure. Again, thank you, Sergeant Demasi and Sergeant Carey, for your informative presentation. We appreciate you being here with us today. So we will post this webinar on our YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn page. Do y'all either one mind sharing your email address to put in a description for the posting or?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
if you would, we try to operate under our social media handle, which is
Okay.
City Park. That
Okay.
covers our whole team here. We operate out of Mid-City, right across from Delgado's campus. Our team services the greater New Orleans area. And we have, sister units across the river in the Algier side, handling West Bank and on. We've got folks across the lake in Slidell and and then, of course, if you guys are way remote, we'll connect you with a recruiter anywhere in the United States, Puerto Rico, Guam, Korea, Germany, wherever you might be. We've got a great network for that. So thank you.
All right. Well, I would like to thank you all again for joining us. I will put our information in the description of this post, so you can visit our Facebook page for more information on upcoming Tech Talk Thursdays hosted by Delgado. And if there's nothing else, that is all. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Have a great day.
Thank you.